there, Claire Chancellor here. Today what I want to talk to you about is how to set up for a reading. You've got your tarot cards, you're enthusiastic to read for others and really want to make a good impression. You're probably nervous and excited, just demonstrate and put your skills out there. But the question is, what's next? When you're getting ready for a reading, I would encourage you to have a particular strategy or specific steps to ensure that you are in the optimum state to facilitate a reading. It is a little bit like a professional athlete. They have their lucky shoes, they do specific things to build up their energy to perform. They may even eat a particular diet, leading them up to that big game. Now, you don't have to go into that kind of detail. The more you build up the space, the easier it is to do your readings. Now, I have a dedicated space for my tarot readings and coaching calls. I call it my studio, and it is completely separate to the house. I have my table set up the way that I like it. It's at the right height. The heater or the cooler is on for the right temperature. I have my comfy chair, my glass of water or herbal tea. I know that I need to do a reading with a full stomach. My intuition just works so much better when I've got that grounded kind of energy. Now, not everybody's like that. Some people's intuition works a lot better when they've just had like a liquid diet, or, that they're not really aware of if they're hungry or not. It's completely up to you. I do have my crystals set up in that space, and I just have that comfort knowing that they radiate an essence and a level of protection around me. Now, I often ask my guides to run golden energy from the top of my studio all the way into the ground. The intent is to be able to reset the energy and charge it with that beautiful ceremonial kind of frequency, that high vibe energy. And so every time I'm walking towards my studio, I just get that sense of a glow, and a smile comes upon my face. It's a little bit like that spiritual hug. Now, sometimes I will use sage to clean the space at a deeper level. If you're somebody who's interested in cleaning your space with sage, I do have a link on my website for that, so that you can smudge like a pro. The intent with smudging is to be able to use the smoke of the sage to be able to collect any of the negative energy that's been stored in that space. And what it will do is it will actually take it out of the room and neutralize the energy so that you're working in that pure state. Now, I do my readings over the phone or Zoom. I've done that for 10 plus years, and I always find it so much better when the client is in their own space of comfort. It's quite interesting to notice that without their body language or non-verbal cues, I find myself a lot easier to get into the flow, and the amazing energy just comes forward. So again, I find it much easier to do my readings over Zoom or the phone. I know some tarot readers prefer to facilitate their readings in the company of the sitter. And again, that's completely up to you. There's a real sacredness when you've got that person in front of you, and the energy exchange that's going on. If you're a hugger, you can hug one another when you've finished. It's just what's up to you. Now, before I make contact with the client, I will make sure that I leave my personal to-do lists at the door. It doesn't come into the studio with me. I may play some music to center my energy, or I may light a candle. I will take a few deep breaths, and I will raise my hand as an invitation for my guides to come closer. It's just a practice I use for my own spiritual boundaries. I will use the warmth and the uplifting energy of my guides to be able to build that connection with the tarot. And I invite the client's guides to come forward into that space. So I've got me in that space, I've got my guides in that space, and I've got the client's guides in that space. Now, I can definitely tell the difference. I can tell them apart. I've got some really amusing stories about people's guides Some people's guides come forward and they sit on the other side of my desk like cup of tea ladies. You know, they all want to chat and they all want to have their say. And some people's guides are like these regal, magnificent, high vibe energy that, you know, haven't probably been human for a long time. They kind of look non-gender, like they're from a multi-dimensional world, maybe an angel, something like that. They have a true essence of magnificence, and it tells me a lot about the client in their ability to reach a high vibe potential. And with no disrespect, I've also had clients whose guides are like outside the studio, they're playing tennis down the street. It's like, you deal with her, we're going to play. Maybe she will hear you because she hasn't been listening to us. And again, it's their cheeky sense of humor, but it just gives me an insight into the personality and the profile of the person or the client who's going to be able to receive this reading. So then, so the next thing that I will do is I will pull a tarot card. Tell me about this reading before I actually connect to the client. And if an excited, uplifted card comes up, it's like, woohoo, okay, bring it on. And if the card is a bit heavier in its energy, I will check in with myself. I will ask my guides to clear my energy so that I may be a clear vessel so that their guides can start to actually work through me and through the cards. I will look up towards my eyebrows. Now, just for a moment, and this signals the brain to go into a theta brainwave. As a hypnotherapist, I can tell you that when we're in the theta brainwave, it gives us easier access to the spirit world and our natural state of creativity. The theta brainwave is much slower than the logical mind. And while you're not in a deep trance and you're not hyper focused, you know, within the logical mind, your brain and your body and your soul just seem to relax. And this is the optimum state to do a reading. Now, we all go into a level of trance every single day, you know, whether that's before you go to sleep at night or doing the impulse purchase at the supermarket, or even losing track of time at the red lights. You know, we all go through a level of trance or daydream every single day. So if that's something that you want to play with, all you have to do, eyes open or closed, it still works the same. It's just momentarily looking up towards those gorgeous eyebrows, maybe seeing a 3, 2, 1, and then just relaxing your eyes, coming back to the center and just feeling more at ease. So the next thing I'll do is I actually want to just check in with the energy of the client. I will get on the call, I will get on the Zoom, and I'll start to build rapport right then and there. I want to invite their guides to come in a bit closer, and then it's time to shuffle as the client asks their question. I actually prefer to start off with a vague question, like, what do we need to know about their career? Or what do we need to know about their health or relationship? The client's already indicated to me about what they need clarity with. So I'm going to start off vague to know that I have an accurate link with their past and their present to then validate that what I get for their future is also going to be quite accurate. As I've said in other videos, I'm going to make sure that I give that client lots and lots of choice. Once I see them start to nod their head and notice that, like, yes, I'm getting things correct, that I've got the rapport, the connection is here, I'm going to start looking for some common themes or patterns within the cards. I will hand it over to the client to ask them if they have any questions after what's just come up, and that just helps build the momentum. So while the client may ask their question in their language, I will deliberately take charge and re-ask their question in a way that best works with their guides. So an example of this is somebody asking, like, okay, will my ex come back to me? And while the guides may say yes, it's a possibility, I also add in a question, what's the energy like if we manifest in a new partner? Now, that always gets the surprise of a client as their curiosity builds, like, oh, don't know if I've allowed myself to want that. And so, again, I always ensure that the client comes away feeling lighter with a variety of possibilities moving forward. This empowers them to make a choice, and when it comes to them having that choice, they are able to take responsibility about the decisions and the path moving forward for them. The last thing I want to do is to tell them what's going to happen, because this just strips them of their free will. It strips them of being in an empowered place. I want them to come away again with an insight in what would happen if they do, what would happen if they don't, and what is that third option I haven't thought of. So when time starts to come to an end of the session, I will check in to see if they have any last questions. And I deliberately use that word last. I want to let them know that time is coming to a close and that this reading will be finished very soon. So once they've asked their question, checked in, anything else, great. And, I can see that they're at ease. We'll finish that call. And once the client is off Zoom or the phone, I will energetically clean my cards. All I really need to do is just to knock on the cards or ask my team, okay, please clear and transmute any energy, please reset these, or I'll sit a crystal on it. Sometimes we get much heavier readings. Maybe there's somebody sick dying in hospital, or maybe there's a divorce or something. This is when I'm going to amp up my my energetically cleaning of the cards, compared to something that's a little bit more lighthearted, talking about manifesting money, talking about business, talking about the potential of having babies. There is a difference. And so I will then put away any of my notes or anything like that. The only real notes that I take in a reading is their name, their date, the date of when that we met, and just like, okay, we covered off a career question, or we explored past lives. And it's not so much so that I can read those notes later, but it is about just having a little bit of a record when that client comes back and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, last time we talked about past lives. How did that work for you? And then my notes are locked in my own studio, so nobody actually gets to see them or know them, that they exist. So from there, I'm going to ask my team to energetically clear the space from my studio, and, blowing out any candles, turning the heater or the cooler off. I'll leave that space knowing that I invite more clients to experience a reading from my studio. As always, setting the intention there. So that is how I do a reading. That's how I set up for a reading. It's how I deliver a reading. And I want you just to take what you want and make it your own. There's no rules. There's no fixed have-tos or obligations here. They're just my suggestions from me to you, with the highest intention just to help you feel empowered about moving forward with a reading. So I'm Claire from Be Your Purpose Coaching. I hope that's helped, and I will talk to you later.